let someone else go first.
Okay. Well, thank you for the presentation. Very interesting. One thing that came to mind very quickly was I wasn't sure what the monetization strategy was, how you were going to arrive at $240 average revenue per user. So that was one thing that I felt was missing. I guess one of my maybe concerns about an application like that would be that it's trying to be all things to everyone. So it's trying to be a news source, it's trying to be a traffic source, it's trying to be coupons, local coupons. And I'd be curious to know what the marketing strategy would be for something like that when there are very well-known apps in each one of those sectors that are doing very well. So
we figured that's the problem.
Exactly, but I'd be worried about how you can come and compete with them, honestly, and be credible in each one of them, and actually be able to really offer a better application, because in the end, it has to be the best application for all of those different uses. So that was maybe my main comments, and as well, I thought that maybe 5% of the population would be a very, very huge chunk. I think maybe a smaller percentage may be more realistic.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Big improvement, I think, from when I first saw it. I think you're kind of doing the circle thing, and you're trying to get this part closer. So that's great. Similar comment to Kevin, which is, I think you had a lot of ideas, but I think within there is sort of within your products is kind of a killer app. And so I always sort of step back and say there's many things you want to do, but what's kind of the anchor, right? What's the most interesting to people? And it feels like, if you're going to do it here in Quebec City, this is a big tourist thing, so I mean, center. So just my initial thinking was this would be a great app for tourists that you download.
This is a customer segment we have identified.
Okay, and so I was like, I could see that actually being valuable. And there's probably many channels here you can sort of go through. Well, what I do think is interesting though is you're actually, when we look at these sort of e-commerce type plays, the most powerful thing we find, and I guess you guys know too, is intent, right? So if you look at sort of when someone lands on a web page, at that moment you have that audience and you know what their intent is, right? So if I'm shopping for baby strollers, my intent is very clear. That's why I want to capture you or have you make that purchase. And that's why,
stop leakage.
Yeah, so we're at another company together channel, right? They can track where you go on the web. But the idea is that they now have that intent. They know you wanted to go buy something. And so you actually...
Big data could be a source of revenue also.
Yeah, and I think what you bring a new element here, right, which is you have an intent, but now you have a geolocation. So I'm just trying to think, how do you really leverage that, right? I mean, I sort of wrote down myself your Foursquare, right? You're kind of, and that's worth throwing a slide up on that, because Foursquare does a little bit, they get check-in, they know where people are. So far I'm at a restaurant, so there might be an angle here. I think I would definitely explore that more. That's kind of novel. And then my last 3 comments were that my Carolines, I would just have a slide on, as you're pitching this to investors, make sure you know the metrics, like what the customer acquisition cost is going to be, because we would dig in and want to make sure you understand that. What's the rev model? And then I give some thought to, and I think I mentioned this last time, but sort of the nicotine. It would be great if it's a tourist app, but that feels like something I might use once when I'm here. Like I was at Disney World recently with my kids, and I downloaded the Disney app, I opened it, they closed it, deleted it.
That's why the user-generated content, that what we think, if we are able to leverage that, will bring traffic back.
I think so. I mean, then you get into like the TripAdvisor model, right? Which is kind of, that's what I was thinking.
Well, it's like a geolocated Twitter, pretty much.
Sure. If I'm about to go into this dentist and they pull up the 10 reviews, it turns out, oh, the guy's actually really horrible and dodgy credentials.
But people are so focused on Foursquare that they always think business, but you can geolocate anything else than businesses. And it's not only a business, the business will be obviously there, but...
Right, so that was my final thought, was it'd be great to have a slide where you sort of throw up potential competitors in the space if you've got a Foursquare, reviews, right, and where do you fit? And that would have helped me, I think, mentally position, where do you fit?
Yeah.
And that'd be great. This is why I think I'm interesting, and this is why I'm differentiated, right? I'm a little bit of kind of a TripAdvisor, I'm a little bit of a Foursquare, and this gives me something special. And it's, I think you're almost there, and I guess I was just trying to struggle with what is that. I think when you can say this is what it is, you'll have something interesting. So
great
I have
thing.
a lot of free thoughts there, but I do think you're getting closer, so.
Is this, just so I understand, is the app gonna be a map where I'm local, I'm on the corner of a street, and I look at the map and I look at what's around me?
There's usually,
With filters?
if you go on the application itself, because of the size of the screen, you can go on the map, but by default, it will make a list. And we have three key filters. So first is, we have an algorithm that is gonna probably take proximity, chronology, and popularity together. And you can go only by chronology, only by proximity. Or you can go by, and then you can go only into businesses.
So if I'm looking for Starbucks,
You go to business. There's a business filter on top, and this is where our business, our advertiser.
What worries me a little bit about this space is that there's thousands of people going after similar things. Like, so I think
There's
the
gotta
chart
be
is
one
right.
guy that's gonna get it.
No, there is, but to be that guy is really a lottery ticket. Like, it's
what?
a lottery ticket. Like,
I know,
okay.
that's what we're after.
And I like and I like big, bold, but the means to get there, what I think, is going to be the one of the drivers of it all is how does like you said, the nicotine, I call it crack, but how are they so addicted to it?
We think that this is user-generated content is the nicotine.
Why?
Because if you are able to find geolocated thoughts about a place that are keep on coming, so it's social proximity versus geo-proximity. I don't have to follow you or be your friend on Facebook to know what you have to say
Do you know
about here now.
Logoline?
Yep.
We invested in that. We sold it to Airbnb.
Yeah, I know.
Not too long ago.
But they're missing one component.
What are they missing?
But they're missing that user-generated content about anything.
But that was the whole model. Users generated that content.
But
So you ask them, you say, what do you think of this place? Then right away you get an answer back.
it's always about a place.
It stays there,
Yeah.
and then that becomes the user-generated content.
But they need a driver to keep that content coming. So that's why we're building an incentive for our user to keep on posting. Because the thing is,
And the incentive is?
The incentive, we are still figuring it out, but we got a few hypotheses about how we're gonna make sure that those people will be posting content over and over and over again, and that will bring all the people to go and see that, is that we're gonna use our advertiser base and probably, because they're gonna invest in our company for advertising, and we're gonna take some money from the profit and reinvest it in our users that are posting content.
I got question marks around that. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't
we
really-
too.
But anyway, but that's good. That's
Yeah.
that's a good thing. You're thinking about that. I think one of the things if you can nail it, it's how do you get that big viral effect happening? Because and it's not just, hey, I'm logged in via Facebook. Hey, I just updated something, because people get fed out of that. But if you can figure out how to get like the users, because really, you need to get in the millions and millions of users, and you got Facebook.
There's been
Foursquare. You got other ones that are very quickly going to put $5, $10, $20 million behind something if you start getting traction, and they're going to be all over you to try to do what you're doing and get rid of you and leverage their users. So you're gonna have to figure out a better way.
Yeah,
I know you want to do it, and you want to win that lottery, and that's great, but you got to nail that, right?
Yeah, it's hard.
And so, I think, look, Google was started in a university. Microsoft was started in a garage. So many people told them they wouldn't do it either. Big, bold ideas. So, all the time, go for it. But it's interesting. It's interesting. And as soon as you got a beta, send it to us, and we're gonna tweet about it. We're gonna play with it, and if we play with it and love it, but you gotta get content on it.
And just to put a little color to maybe what are our next step we thought about to do is probably to go to hyperdrive in Kitchener. Would like to meet with the folks of Canadian Tire who are really working hard to find a kind of business model around geolocation or coupons and promotions and stuff. And because using our app, like if we could sign a letter of intent with Canadian Tire, the way they could use it, in fact, would be, let's say it's snowing heavily in Victoriaville, but it's sunny in Quebec City. People at the head office of Canadian Tire could decide at some point to decide right here, right now, shovels are on sale, and right now, because in the snowstorm was not expected or nothing, and if it's really hot one day, they could decide to put the air conditioning on sale and try to leverage that and stop the leakage to a Walmart or other competitors. We want to try to work with them and see if we can fit that solution with their business model or what they're after. And probably, and then once we get big guys like that coming in and see that they have an intent only, then we could move on and go to see guys like you and then see if we could do something about it.
And I think it's a good idea, but you know, those types of relationships, when they see that, you know, you're pre-beta, it's like it's going to take you forever. I would follow along that path, but I would maybe go see somebody like Twango, who's in Montreal, who's got a shitload of merchants, shitload of deals, and he's like, okay, how do I get all that stuff on?
Yeah, but they always has to be prepared in advance. And what we want to give advertisers is the power to be really reactive to the present moment. And it's the same thing with like what Canadian Tire is doing. Like
why can't Twango's advertisers do that?
Because you have to sign what three weeks in advance, and it's a set date that would the deal of the day will go out.
Just explore it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe you'll learn something.
But we don't want to be the other deal of the day. We think it's different.
Not saying
but we should explore. Yeah, you're right.
He's got tens of thousands of merchants that that need to be want to be discovered. Maybe he just figured out how to make a buck off those guys through you.
But all these businesses that have deals, they're reachable through any APIs. You know, there's many APIs we can use.
I would just take a step back though before you try and sort of monetize it or whatever.
Yeah.
I think you need to figure out, going back to your point, what is that initial killer app that's going to want to be downloaded? Because I'm not going to download it to get coupons or deals based on my geotagging. I'm going to download it for something else.
Yeah.
And that will evolve to that. But I back up and sort of say, well, what's the initial reason people are going to
Building
want
the
this?
audience first.
Yeah.
You ever search on Google on this?
Google now or Google?
Yeah. I was like 2 corners from Sale, you know, S-A-I-L, Magasin Sale.
Magasin Chess.
And I searched on it, and the freaking guy's telling me about Sale in Alberta. I'm like,
they're not that accurate.
It was pitiful.
I think
That's
I think we can do better.
Yeah.
Ball suit the same.
Davender's about
Google
to...
Thanks, guys.
When are we going to get like a really bad one so we can like really...